What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Dodger Faithful. I'm JT here with Rune. This is episode 2 of Dodger Faithful. Last time we talked, we were going into the wild card round against the Cincinnati Reds. So we're going to recap that. We're going to recap the NLDS and our expectations and predictions for the NLCS. So welcome to Dodger Faithful. Rune, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. My mood tonight is gonna solely depend on the outcome of the game tonight, of
Yeah.
course, but I think it'll be a pretty good game. Both teams very, very good on the offensive side of the ball, as we've seen. Not Rams, sorry, I'm thinking Rams. But no, the Dodgers staying hot on offense. Not really in that game four. We kind of got handed 2 runs there at the end, but I think this offense will come out swinging. I think we have better starting pitching than the Brewers, and that might be one of our best advantages.
Yeah, we got Snell going on the bump tonight for game 1, so I'm looking forward to that. Blake Snell looked great against the Phillies in I believe it was game 2 against Philadelphia in the NLDS. The pitching has been great. The only time it really wasn't was the bullpen in the 8th inning against Cincinnati. Both games against Cincinnati in the 8th inning, thankfully we had a big lead. The bullpen gave up a few runs, but thankfully guys like Emmett Sheehan and Roki Sasaki and Alex Vesia were able to shut it down. So the Dodgers did end up sweeping the Reds 2-0, advancing to Philadelphia. And then we get to game 1 against the Phillies. Teoscar Hernandez, 3-run homer to essentially win the game and give us a 1-0 series lead. How do we feel about, now you mentioned the offensive struggles. Who are we most confident in at the plate right now? Because for me, it's probably Teoscar Hernandez. I don't know if you would agree, unless you have a different name, but who are you most confident in at the plate right now?
See, with Teoscar, I feel like my thing with him is he'll either look absolutely dominant at the plate, he'll hit and absolutely pimp a home run, and then the next 2 at bats that game, they'll be the ugliest strikeouts you ever seen. So you see good stuff out of Teoscar, you see some bad stuff too. So it's really hard to tell with him. I think he is one of the major pieces in this offense right now that's really performing well. But if we're talking about hot playoff hitters, another Hernandez on the team comes to mind. Of course, Mr. October, Kike Hernandez. Man, he needs to be investigated. He's just the biggest playoff riser, maybe not of all time, but he will be talked about forever as one of the biggest playoff risers.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of has to be better in the postseason to keep his job
Yeah,
because if he was on a team like the Marlins or the Rockies and he played how he plays the whole season, he wouldn't get to the playoffs. So thankfully, he's on a team that is in the postseason every year so he can actually thrive because he batted 205 this year, had an OPS of under 700. It wasn't pretty. Those are kind of normal Kike numbers in the regular season, but then we get to the postseason. His career batting average in the postseason is almost 290. So that's like 60 points higher than it is in the regular season, which is ridiculous. So he's in the lineup tonight. He's batting 8th ahead of Andy Pajes. But speaking of Kike, I wanted to do something a little fun. The MLB posted today the lineups from game 1 of the NLCS, the last time the Dodgers and Brewers faced off in the NLCS 7 years ago in 2018. I have the lineup right here. I want to see how many guys you can name from this lineup. Now, I know you're younger than me, so I don't expect you to get all of them, but I am curious to see how
I
many you
think I
can
can
get
name a
from
couple of
game
them.
1.
From game one, I'm gonna have to say I think some easy ones. I think Grandal's on there.
Grandal is in
Was
there, batting
Grandal behind the
8th.
plate?
Yep.
I'm thinking Jock Peterson. Was Jock Peterson in there anywhere?
Jock Peterson is not in this lineup. We must have been facing a left-handed pitcher because he is not in the lineup for this game.
All right. What about? I think Corey Seager has to be on there.
Corey Seager was hurt this year. He
He
was
was
out for the year.
hurt.
He had Tommy John surgery. He was out for
That's
the
true.
year.
He did.
But
He
we
was. He
made a
was
trade
hurt
at
one
the
year.
deadline to replace him with somebody, and he's in the lineup.
This isn't who replaced him, but was Puig on the roster? Was Puig or not on the roster? Was Puig on that in that starting lineup?
Puig is actually not in this lineup,
What the hell?
surprisingly.
Who did they? All right.
There are some hard ones and there are some easy ones.
Was this this before Belly's time? Was Belly on the
No,
team yet?
Bellinger was in the lineup.
He
He was
was.
batting
See, I
seventh. He was
was
playing center
for
field.
some reason I thought he debuted in like 19.
Now he won MVP in 19. He debuted in 2017. So
Yeah,
this is 28. This was his second year. He was batting seventh. He was playing center field. So you have the catcher and the center fielder. We just talked about the guy who played second base right before this.
it's got to be Kike. Kike had to be on there, right?
Yes, it was Kike. Kike was playing second base. I'll give you a little hint. He, besides the pitcher in this game, he is the only player in this lineup that is still on the Dodgers today. So you have the 6, 7, and 8 hitters in the lineup.
There's no Muncie, is there?
There is no Muncy. Muncy probably wasn't playing because we were playing a lefty, just like
Yeah.
whoever you mentioned before.
I swear, when you like reveal who they are, I'm gonna feel stupid because I'll probably know them.
It's hard to remember because this was 7 years ago, and
Yeah.
you were still very young. I was very
I
young
was
when
young, but
this.
I was old enough. Like I remember most of the players.
I'll give you a hint. One of these guys we absolutely hate now. He's on a rival team.
It's got to be Machado then, because
Yes, Machado was batting
I remember
fourth.
Machado was. But did Machado play? Was it 1 year? Was it 1 year or
He was
2 years?
traded at the deadline this year in 2018 from Baltimore,
Yeah, I was
and he
about to say,
played the
didn't we
rest
get
of the
him
year,
from
and then he
Baltimore?
signed with the Padres that
Yeah,
offseason. He was the
yeah.
guy I was telling you that replaced Seager because Seager was hurt this year, so that's why we traded for Machado at the
Yeah,
deadline so
that
we could
makes
get a
sense.
shortstop. So you have the shortstop, the second baseman, center fielder, and catcher. So the pitcher is the other player that's still on the Dodgers.
Probably I'd have to say Kershaw.
It was Kershaw.
That's probably just the easiest, and he's
Yeah.
still pretty good.
So you're missing the left fielder, the third baseman, the first baseman, and the right fielder. I'll give you a little hint. This left fielder, he made a really nice catch in game 7 of this series against the Brewers, and he was on the team but was released earlier this year.
This might I don't he might have been off the team by this point, but was there a Matt Kemp in there? Was there Matt Kemp?
That's not what I was talking about, but Matt Kemp is on the roster or on
Nice.
this lineup. Yes, he
Oh,
was
he's
playing right field and he was batting fifth. So
that's
yes,
my
Matt
goat.
Kemp was on this
That
team.
was my first favorite player. Like that was like my Todd Gurley
Really?
baseball.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
You're missing the 1, 2, and 3 hitters, and that's it.
See, now I just feel stupid, and you're gonna tell me who they are, and I'm gonna feel even more stupid because I
The
probably wouldn't
first
know
two
who
are
they are.
easy. The third one is hard. The third
Okay,
one
the
is
third.
not known for being a Dodger. The first two are. The third guy was at like the end of his career. He was known for being a Cardinal, actually.
It's when I think of Dodgers that are known for being Cardinals, I think of Pujols, but that wasn't. That was
It
way
was not
before.
Pujols. He
That
wasn't
was
here
way
yet.
before.
Yeah. This guy had a very clutch hit in Game 6 of the 2011 World Series for the Cardinals against the Rangers. And then he had the walk-off homer.
This might be, was it David Freese?
It was David Freese. There you
Yeah.
go. David Freese was a Dodger. I loved him as
See,
a Dodger. He was
that
so
was about the
clutch.
only person left that I was like, there's no way. I don't remember. I guess I was like 6 or 7 years old, probably
That's crazy. Making
something
me
around
feel
there.
old, man. So you're missing the
Um,
left fielder and the third baseman.
trying to think of Dodger outfielders. Chris Taylor by
Chris Taylor was the leadoff
Chris
hitter
Taylor.
in left field. So you're just missing the third baseman.
So it's not Muncie, you said.
It is not Muncy. Muncy didn't play third base back in the day. He played first base more because we didn't have Freddie Freeman yet.
Yeah, I remember he played a little bit of first. Can you give me a number? I might be able to get it if you.
Number might give it away, but same number as Cooper Cup.
Oh man, that just made me feel stupid. Justin Turner.
Yeah, there you go. Dude, 9 for 9. Way to be. Let's go.
I
Awesome. You got
I
all
did need
9.
a lot of help, but
That's okay. A few hints doesn't
I
hurt.
kind of took a
You got
shot
all
in the
9.
dark with David Freese.
Yeah. So the lineup was leading off was Chris Taylor, batting second, Justin Turner,
Chris Taylor
batting
was leading
third,
off.
David Freese. Yeah. Batting fourth, Manny Machado. Batting fifth, your guy, Matt Kemp. Batting sixth was Kike Hernandez. Seventh, Cody Bellinger. Eighth, Grandal. And 9, Clayton Kershaw.
I forgot Chris Taylor used to be like that.
Yeah, no, he would bat leadoff for us that 2017 run we had when we went to the World Series, and then this run to the World Series in 2018, he was batting leadoff almost every game, and he was clutch. He really was clutch. He was a great leadoff guy. And I made a TikTok earlier about it on the JT Sports Network that
Yeah,
said it's kind of crazy to think that 7 years ago Chris Taylor was batting leadoff for the Dodgers in the World Series, and
and we
now
released him
he's
this year.
released and he was on the Angels. It's crazy to think about. But speaking of Chris Taylor, I wish we kept him. I do. I wish we kept him. I know he struggled the last 2 years a lot at the plate. He was not great, but I wish they kind of kept a little bit more loyalty towards him than to Michael Conforto, which I
Yeah.
know was tough because they were paying Conforto, but he's a better fielder than Conforto, and he was just as good of a hitter as Conforto, to be
You know,
honest.
I will say, if we're talking about Conforto and fielding, Conforto doesn't get enough credit for his fielding. I've seen some good stuff from him in the field.
Yeah. No, he's a good fielder. I just think Chris Taylor was more known for being like a
Yeah,
an A plus fielder. That was like kind of his thing. He was more known as a fielder than a hitter. And the thing about Chris Taylor over Conforto that I would take is that Chris Taylor could play basically any position. He could play any position but first or pitcher and catcher, obviously.
yeah,
He
and
could
I
play
feel
third,
like
he could play second, he could play literally anywhere.
yeah, and I feel like you know how Justin Dean will come in and play some outfield sometimes. I feel like Chris Taylor could have had that Justin Dean spot a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
Justin Dean may be way younger, more spry, but I mean, a lot of fans like Chris Taylor. I liked him. I mean, I didn't like his struggles, but I liked him. And seeing him get released, it was a sad day, but
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good point with the Justice Dean role because Chris Taylor was also fast. So
yeah,
he was also a guy that you could have pinch run here and there and steal bases. And they did do that last year in the postseason when we had our World Series run against the Padres, Mets, and Yankees. Going more into instead of the 2018 NLCS against the Brewers, let's talk a little bit more about this NLCS. We have Blake Snell on the mound tonight. Let me pull up our lineup for tonight because I want to go over that as well.
what time's the game at?
Kike is in the lineup just like he was 7 years ago, believe it or not. So leading off is Shohei Ohtani, followed by Mookie Betts, followed by Teoscar Hernandez in right field. Then our guy Freddie Freeman batting fourth, Will Smith fifth, Tommy Tanks batting sixth, Max Muncy seventh, Kike Hernandez eighth, and Andy Pajes batting ninth with Blake Snell on the bump for LA. This is such a deep lineup and a much deeper lineup than 2018 was. That is for sure.
Yeah,
Kike, the only name that stays the same, and then obviously a lot of upgrades in the lineup from 7 years ago. 7 years ago, we didn't have Shohei, Mookie, Teo, and Freddie and Will Smith as our first five guys, which is just ridiculous. How do you feel about the lineup tonight, and is there anything you change?
I feel great about the lineup. I think that if you're going to change anything, maybe a high Song Kim in there, but I mean, I think even keeping him out is fine. And we've seen High Song Kim struggle to get played over guys like Michael Conforto and Kike Hernandez, which sometimes I disagree with, but High Song Kim is a great pinch runner.
Yeah, he absolutely is, and I wish he would play more because when in the beginning of the season when he wasn't called up, I was begging for the Dodgers to call this guy up
Weren't
because I
we
knew he'd
all?
be good.
Weren't we all?
But yeah, we were. But unfortunately, he had struggled a little bit towards the end of the regular season. He was dealing with a bit of an injury, which I think was the main reason why he was struggling so much. So, only thing, the only thing I would change is I know no one's going to agree with taking Kike out of the lineup just because he's so much better in the postseason. But if I had to make a change, I guess I'd take Kike out and put Kim in there. I'd put Kim at second, and then I guess I'd move Edmund to the outfield, but I'm fine with how the lineup is. I don't really think I'd make any changes. Both Hernandez is in the lineup. Pajes batting ninth. Pajes, hopefully, I know that walk-off hit in game 4 wasn't the most impressive walk-off hit, but I'm hoping it gets him going because it's something, He won us the game technically. So hopefully it's something that'll get us going and maybe get him going cuz if we can get him going at the bottom of the lineup cuz if we can get like July through September, Andy Pajes batting ninth in this lineup, watch out. I don't see
Yeah,
this team losing because if Kike can heat up like he normally does in October, and Andy Pajes can hit close to like 280 something like he was for most of the year, watch out because those guys are at the bottom of our lineup. But one guy that we have to talk about, that we have to address, who's at the very top of our lineup, is Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani was 1 for 18 in the NLCS or NLDS with 9 strikeouts. That is not okay. He had one RBI base hit in game 2 with 2 outs in, I believe, the top of the seventh to put the Dodgers up 4-0. That was his only hit of the series. And for some reason, he always struggles against the Phillies, whether it's in Philadelphia or LA. But he needs to step it up. And I sound like an idiot critiquing Shohei Ohtani, but it seems like he's trying to hit bombs every pitch. And we just need him on base, especially as the leadoff guy. So, what are your thoughts on Shohei's struggles and what can he do to change things?
No, I don't think you're wrong at all. I mean, we saw this last year too. I mean, you saw it in the NLCS and even the World Series. You saw guys like Tommy Edman. Like Tommy Edman would have probably been one of my last guesses to win NLCS MVP last year. And then, I mean, of course, Freddie Freeman. It's hard to beat what Freddie Freeman did in that World Series last year. So, um, but no, Shohei really hasn't been looking good at the plate at all. On the mound, he's been pretty good. There's been no complaints on the mound for me. But at the batter's box, he's not doing the greatest. It could change. I mean, new opponent, but I mean, we saw the Dodgers struggle against the Brewers this year, not even winning a game against them in the regular season series.
Yeah. Is that something that worries you that we were 0-6 against them in the regular season? Is that a big concern?
You know, it would concern me, but we also did have a couple of struggles against the Phillies, and the Phillies, you could argue that they have a better atmosphere, a better home atmosphere than the Dodgers, which I mean, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but I think this Brewers team is good. Don't get me wrong, they're good, and I don't look forward to playing them because they are scary, but they are inexperienced, and they played a Cubs team that really just handled a. I wouldn't even say this Padres team that the Cubs beat was really a playoff worthy team. I feel like if the Mets stayed hot, they would have been a way better option and a tougher opponent for the Cubs.
Now, I'm glad that we ended up facing the Reds instead of the Mets. And
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
last
yeah.
episode, that's something we talked about a few weeks ago. We talked about who we'd rather face in the wild card round because we didn't know who was going to be yet. We didn't know if it was going to be the Reds and the Mets last time we recorded. It ended up being the Reds and we swept them. So, obviously, looking back on it, it's easier to say, oh, well, I'm glad we played the Reds because we beat them. But even in the moment, we did say we'd rather play them than the Mets because when the Mets are hot, they can be a scary team. And they proved that halfway through the year. They were in first place for a part of the season. They were like 20 something games over 500. They were a contender at one point, a World Series contender. And they just got cold at the end of the year and they ended up missing the postseason because the National League was just that good. So if the Mets get that last spot, who knows? Maybe the Dodgers are watching the playoffs from the couch right now. Maybe the Mets take us down in 3 games or something. But I guess we'll never know because the Reds were able to squeeze into that postseason spot. Unfortunately for them, they ran into the big bad LA Dodgers. So the Dodgers take down the Reds in 2. They take down the Phillies in 4 games. What's your prediction for the NLCS? Do the Dodgers win, and if so, in how many games?
I do have confidence for this one. Not as much as I did for Philly because Philly, as a sports city, always finds a way to put it, just smack me in the face, whether it's football, whether it's baseball, whether it's basketball sometimes.
Yeah,
But
really.
no, I have more confidence going into this series than I did last series, which is kind of, I'm surprised, but I think the Dodgers will win this one. Granted, I think it will go to 6 games or 7 games, maybe, because I think the Dodgers will have some offensive struggles this series, and I think it'll get to them, and I think it's going to cause them to lose a couple games.
Yeah. I got the Dodgers in 6. I think the Dodgers win the NLCS. I think they win the pennant for the second year in a row. I think they go to the World Series for the third time in the span of 6 years and the fifth time in the span of 8 years. So not bad.
Crazy.
It is crazy. I do think the Dodgers are going to win this series. I think it's going to be a little bit similar to last year's series against the Mets, where the Dodgers get out to a 1-0 series lead. I think we get the win tonight with Snell on the mound. I think then the Brewers will come back and tie things up in Game 2, and then we go to LA with a series 1-1. I think we'll take 2 out of 3 in LA. I think we'll take games 3 and 4 to go up 3-1. Then game 5, I think we'll see something similar to like we did last year against the Mets, where we used oh, what the heck was his name? Gosh, I can't remember the reliever's name now. Not Robleski, but
Sheehan? Well, not Sheehan. Was
no, the
Sheehan in
guy
a?
Honey
I don't think.
something.
Uh, Honeywell.
Honeywell, yes. I couldn't
Dude, he was
remember
a
the
dog.
ending of his
I
last name,
liked Honeywell.
Honeywell. He ended up pitching like 4 innings because we were already down and we were just trying to save pitching. So for some reason, Roberts likes to punt a game or two every series, which is really annoying. But I think he will do that strategy again, and then the Dodgers will wrap it up in Game 6 in Milwaukee and win the series. So I got the Dodgers in 6. You got the Dodgers in 6, maybe 7 games. We beat them in 7 last time we played them in the NLCS. So hopefully everything will stay the same. But for the ALCS, I know this isn't the Dodgers, but I'm actually watching it right now. Game 2, tied at 3, Mariners Blue Jays. Mariners lead the series 1-0. What's your prediction for that? Because the Mariners have never been to the World Series. Do they get there for the first time, or will the Blue Jays get there?
I'd say it's kind of too early in the series to kind of judge that. It is, but it isn't. I think I think the Mariners will get there. I think the Mariners have a lot of star power. They have, of course, the big dumper, but then you look deeper and they have guys like Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor, who the Dodgers are somewhat familiar with because they played them while they were both in Arizona this year. And then they have, of course, guys like Julio Rodriguez, like J.P. Crawford, and then look on the mound, and I don't think Brian Wu's still out.
I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know,
Not
but
sure.
they have some good pieces on the mound too. So my prediction, I'm gonna have to say Seattle. I think their star power is just gonna be too much for Toronto.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Mariners do get to the World Series for the first time in franchise history. At the beginning of the postseason, I was a little worried that the Yankees were going to get through the American League again, kind of with ease, just because some of these American League teams don't really have that much playoff experience, like the Blue Jays, like the Mariners. I thought maybe Boston could take them down just because of the rivalry. They ended up not beating them. The Yankees came back and won that series in 3. But thankfully, the Blue Jays did take down the Yankees, and it's Blue Jays Mariners in the ALCS. I couldn't care less who wins because I don't dislike or like either of these teams. So now we can't worry about it too much because the Dodgers got to take care of business in Milwaukee to start. But I think it'll be Dodgers Mariners, and I guess you agree, right? Dodgers Mariners.
Yep, I agree.
Nice. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this folds out. Dodgers Mariners would be a pretty fun World Series. A lot of star power on both sides, both West Coast teams. We get a Seattle LA rivalry in football. Maybe we get a best of 7 series between Seattle and LA in baseball as well.
Maybe and kind of gonna lean to an example going to a different sport, much like football and the Rams playing the Bengals in the Super Bowl. I liked the Bengals. I liked them as a
Hmm.
team, much like I like the Mariners as a team, and I like their fan base, and I like everything about them as a team. But um, I hope we win, obviously, and I think if it does go to a Dodgers Mariners World Series, I think the Dodgers will win that. I think our offense could get going. Depends on the stuff we show in the NLCS. But of course, like you said earlier, we just got to take care of business and we got to keep pushing. Season's not
Yep.
over.
So, like you said, we do have to take care of business first in Milwaukee. We got to take down the Brewers in 6 games or whatever it's going to be. But if we do get past the Brewers and let's say the Dodgers do beat the Mariners or the Blue Jays in the World Series, the big question I want to ask you is this a dynasty? If the Dodgers win the World Series in 2025, do we consider this a dynasty after 3 championships in the span of 6 years?
For sure. I mean, in the last episode, I kind of talked about my doubts about how I was, I didn't like the 2020 World Series, even though we won it. But I mean, as time goes on, I'm kind of growing more fond of it because it was very recent, and I think you can call this a dynasty for how good this team has been year in and year out. I don't think we've missed the playoffs since I was about 3 or 4 years old, something like that. But
Haven't
no,
missed
I
this
feel
since
like
2012.
yeah, yeah, so I'd be three. But for how good we've been, and for since we've won three championships in the span of about 5 or 6 years, 5 years, I think even without the 2020 World Series, you can say this is a dynasty for just how good the team's been. But that's yet to be seen. We still have a whole series to play out, two whole series if we're lucky. Let's just hope we get to November.
That's right. So 8 more wins to go. By the time this is up, hopefully it's 7 more wins. Hopefully the Dodgers will have won game one, or maybe who knows? Maybe you're watching this while game one's going on tonight. But the Dodgers have 8 more wins to go as we record this. Game one tonight, Blake Snell on the bump for the Dodgers after taking down the Phillies in 4 games. Rune, it was an absolute pleasure once again. This has
Of
been
course,
episode 2 of Dodger Faithful. Any last thoughts for the people, Rune?
it's time for Dodger baseball.
Yes, sir. It's time for Dodger Baseball in the words of Vince Scully. So, Rune, it's been a pleasure, like I said, and let's go Dodgers.
Let's go Dodgers.